Hello there. Today we're in a rented Vauxhall Astra and I literally have a few minutes to show you around before it's got to be returned. So this video is going to be a bit of a rush. Welcome to CarSpyTV. Okay, this is a 2021 Vauxhall Astra hatchback. It has a 1.2 litre petrol engine, a manual transmission and the Griffin Edition trim level. It's also about 9 months old and it's done roughly 8,500 miles. Oh, and it cost about £20,000 brand new. Okay, so let's have a look at the interior. So let's start with the instrument cluster, which is clear and easy to read. We have a big speedometer here on the right, the rev counter on the left, a screen in the middle, then some smaller gauges at the top for fuel and temperature. And look what happens when I turn the ignition key. The needles do a funny little dance. They go all the way up and then all the way down, presumably to check everything is working okay. I quite like the instrument cluster. If we have a look at the steering wheel, on the left here, this is your cruise control buttons. The one behind there, that's for indicators. And if we look over here, on the other side of the steering wheel, this is how you can control your phone and indeed turn the radio up and down. And if it rains, which it definitely won't today, but if it does, you can control your wipers via this wand on the right. Here in the center of the dashboard, we have this large color touchscreen, and the options include audio, gallery, phone projection, navigation, and settings. So you can listen to the radio if you feel so inclined. Moving further down, we have the heating and ventilation controls, which are all intuitive and easy to use. And look, this car actually has heated front seats, which isn't bad for the money. Further down there, a little bit of storage for whatever you fancy. And then we have buttons for various driver aids, such as parking sensors. This particular car also has 6-speed manual transmission, and there's a fairly conventional layout. So when you want first gear, it's simply left and up, second, down there, third, fourth, fifth. And can you guess what's coming next? Yes, it's 6th gear. And when you want reverse, that's back in neutral now. There's a little button which is going to be difficult to show you, but I shall try. Now, can you see that? That little button there? When you want reverse, you pull and hold that button, and then you can move the gear stick further to the left and forward, and that is reverse gear. We'll leave it there for now. If we move further down here, we have one of these modern electronic handbrakes rather than the traditional manual one. This is your 12-volt power socket, and under here, look, we have a trap door, and if we look inside, cup holders, 2 of them, no less. Central armrest, as you would expect, and if we look in there, we see it's quite spacious, and down there is a little USB port for charging your mobile phone, or whatever. As for the glove box, it's a reasonable size, as we can see, and look, this one has a strange keypad in it, and that's because this being a rental car, you can literally rent it by the hour, and then you have to enter some kind of weird code to make it work. This door does feel a little bit flimsy, I'd say, but it's okay. As for the door cards, well, they're quite attractive. I particularly like this sort of dark piano black trim, and that's replicated on the dashboard as well. The seats, they're a dark grey, which is quite practical in terms of keeping it clean, and they also have these leather borders and indeed headrests which add a certain something. It may not be real leather, I don't know. Either way, it looks quite nice, as indeed does the entire cabin. Not too bad at all. As for the back of the car, things are fairly pleasant here too. We've certainly got good headroom. Look, I'm about 5'10", 5'11", and I'm wearing my hat. And even when I sit up dead straight, there's still a decent amount of space above my head, which is good because I find it very irritating when my head hits the roof of a car. As for rear legroom, it does of course depend how you have the front seats positioned. So what I've done is I've moved the driver's seat all the way back as far as it can go. And if we have a look down here, well, it's not too good. That's pretty cramped. It's not particularly comfortable. But for contrast, I've moved the front passenger seat all the way forward. And now look down there. I've got loads of space for my leg, possibly even both my legs. A few more things to notice. We do of course have the obligatory little pockets there on the back of the seat. They're not the biggest in the world, but they are nonetheless useful. Over here we have electric windows, a little bit of storage down there in the door card, and you'll like this if you travel with young children. This car also has ISOFIX mounting points. There's one under there, see that red bar? And there's another one there, and that enables you to connect your child seat to the car without having to wrap it all up in the adult seat belt, which is a real faff. We've also got these ISOFIX mounting points in the other seat that I'm sitting in now. So here's our little 1.2 litre petrol engine. And as we can see from the number of coil packs, it is a 1-2-3 cylinder. This engine also has a turbocharger, and it produces about 145 metric horsepower, which is plenty for a car like this. As for your basic checks, this is the engine oil dipstick there. If you need to top it up or replace it, you can do so there. And look at this big heat shield we have at the back here, that big silver thing. If you need to check the brake fluid, you do so there, the one that says .4. This is the engine coolant expansion tank, so you can check the level in there. And if we look over here, towards the other side of the engine bay, here we have a fuse box. This is where you top up the windscreen washer reservoir. And look, you like this. If you want to change a bulb in the headlamp there, you can simply unscrew this, and then you can get in there and do what needs to be done. Same the other side. As for the boot, it's 370 litres, which is a decent size for a car of this class. So to put the size of the boot in perspective, we have a small suitcase here on top. We've also got a couple of medium-sized suitcases on the bottom, plus this random bag of who knows what. And as we can see, there's still plenty of room for other bits and pieces. And while we're here, let's have a look at this. This is an access panel, and if we take that off, we can get to various tools and things, which is handy if we get a puncture, which I really hope we don't, because I've got to get this car back to the rental company in the next few minutes. There's also another access panel just over here, which pops off in much the same way. And although I haven't checked, I would imagine you need to get behind there to change the bulbs in that rear light. And there's the boot more or less empty, apart from my hat. And we do have a few tie-down points. There's one there just under that little flap of carpet, and there's another one just there, red in this case because it's a red car, and it's of course the same story on the near side. And that brings us to what it's like to drive this 2021 Vauxhall Astra. Well, I don't have time today to take you through a detailed test drive, but in summary, it's pretty good. The ride is comfortable, the car feels confident on the road, the gearbox is easy to use, and the steering is nicely weighted. As for visibility, well, it's pretty decent overall, but there are nonetheless a few things to bear in mind. I'm now holding the camera at my head height, so this is my view. And even at 5'10", 5'11", I can barely see the bonnet, which doesn't make it easy if I wanted to park up close to a brick wall. There are parking sensors, but nonetheless, I like to be able to judge it with my eyes. Call me old-fashioned if you like. Decent sized wing mirrors there. They are quite good on faster motorway roads, but we do need to bear in mind that there are quite chunky C-pillars there on the back of this car, so things could easily be hidden over there. So there we go. There's a quick look at the 2021 Vauxhall Astra Griffon. Not a bad car for their money. I quite like it. Anyway, this one now has to go back to the rental company. So don't forget to subscribe to CarSpyTV. If you haven't already, do me a favour and click like on this video, and I'll see you next time. Farewell.